Chapter 4 Virology Flashcards 1. Tiny subdivisions at the ends of the bronchioles in the lungs that are lined with immune cells called macrophages. Alveolar sacs. 2. Protective fluid contained in the amniotic sac that surrounds the fetus during pregnancy. Amniotic fluid. 3. A fluid-filled sac that surrounds and protects a developing fetus. Amniotic sac. 4. A two-pronged needle used in mass vaccination to prevent infection by variola virus, the virus that causes smallpox. Bifurcated needle. 5. A standard set of microbiological practices essential for worker safety and environmental protection that addresses the risk of handling this type of infectious agents, which are extremely dangerous viruses or other types of pathogens that pose a high risk of aerosol-transmitted laboratory infections in laboratory personnel, used when working with viruses that cause life-threatening diseases that are frequently fatal and that do not have treatments or vaccines, e.g. hantaviruses, Ebola viruses, even though not transmitted by aerosol, and variola viruses. Laboratories are equipped with negative air pressure relative to adjacent facilities. Personnel working with this type of pathogens must wear physical containment devices and use laminar flow hoods. Biosafety Level 4. 6. A highly selective blockade that allows the entry of molecules needed for brain function, such as amino acids, oxygen, carbon dioxide, glucose, and water, while keeping other molecules and infectious agents out. Blood-brain barrier. 7. A chemokine coreceptor present on macrophages that macrophage tropic strains of HIV-1 utilize for host cell entry during infection. CCR5. 8. The body's ability to specifically resist infection independent of antibodies through the activity of cytotoxic T lymphocytes that recognize antigens presented on macrophages and dendritic cells on virally infected cells. Cell-mediated immune response. 9. Division of the nervous system that includes the brain and spinal cord. Central nervous system. 10. Hepatitis as a result of ongoing inflammation and damage to the liver that lasts longer than 6 months. Hepatitis B and C viruses can cause this. Chronic hepatitis. 11. The sweeping motion of hair-like cilia of respiratory cells as air is inhaled. It interacts with mucus to trap inhaled particles and pathogens and helps to move them out of the nose or mouth. Ciliary action. 12. The formation of fibrous tissues, nodules, and scarring on the liver that interferes with its function and blood circulation may be caused by chronic hepatitis B and C infections or alcohol abuse. Cirrhosis. 13. The thin, transparent membrane that coats the inner surface of the eyelids and covers the outer surface of the eye, called the sclera, white part of the eye. Conjunctiva. 14. Chemokine coreceptor present on Th lymphocytes that Th tropic strains of HIV-1 utilize for host cell entry during infection. CXCR4. 15. Shortness of breath. Dyspnea. 16. A rash or skin eruption often produced after viruses have invaded the skin through blood vessels. Example, measles virus. Exanthems. 17. It is associated with chronic hepatitis B and C. Hepatocellular cancer. 18. An emotional condition, fear of water, arising from the inability to swallow as a consequence of rabies. Older term for the disease rabies. Hydrophobia. 19. An antibody class found in bodily secretions, especially the mucous membranes of the respiratory tract, the gastrointestinal tract, and other mucous surfaces, that helps to neutralize pathogens, plays a role in adaptive immunity. Immunoglobulin A, IgA. Immunoglobulin G, which is the most abundant class of antibody present in serum, produced for very long periods of time, offers memory or long-term protection against encounters with prior pathogens, plays a role in adaptive immunity. IgG. 21. The number of infectious agents needed to cause infection. Infective dose. 22. Space between placental villi containing maternal blood. Intervillous space. 23. An infection that, for one or more reasons, is restricted to a confined spot, e.g. a wart caused by a papillomavirus infection. Localized infections. 24. A watery fluid that consists of water, salts, glucose, urea, proteins, and some immune cells. Examples: lymphocytes and macrophages. Lymph. 25. A bean-shaped mass of tissue located along lymph vessels that is involved in the immune response and that contains phagocytes and lymphocytes. Lymph node. 26. The series of interconnected and interdependent spaces and channels between the organs and body tissues that circulate lymph, including fats and infection and cancer-fighting cells, removing cell debris and foreign matter from the tissues and transferring them to the blood, part of the immune defense. Lymphatic system. 27. White blood cells that are formed in the lymphoid organs and tissues make up 25 to 33% of all white blood cells in adult peripheral blood. They exhibit exquisite recognition in distinguishing pathogens from host cells, play a role in adaptive immunity. Lymphocytes. 28. A large cell derived from monocytes that is found within various tissues. They can ingest viruses and other foreign invaders, dead cells, cell debris, and other cellular matter. Macrophages. 29. A patch of skin that is pink-red, but not usually elevated, associated with certain viral infections. Macule. 30. A vague feeling of bodily discomfort, as at the beginning of an illness. Malaise. 31. The inflammation or damage to the myocardium, the middle layer of the heart muscle, can be due to Coxsackie-virus infection. Myocarditis. 32. The cells of the nervous system. They consist of a cell body which contains the nucleus and an axon. Neurons. 33. Describes viruses that infect the nervous system. Certain herpes viruses, rabies virus, poliovirus, and some viruses that cause encephalitis can infect neurons. Neurotropic. 34. Caused by a microorganism or viruses that do not occur during normal conditions, but do if immunity of the host is impaired or compromised, i.e. AIDS patients suffer from these. Opportunistic infections. 35. The means of viral infection in which viruses shed and are transferred and ingested with swallowed materials, e.g. food or drink, occurs most often in conditions of inadequate sanitation. oral fecal route of transmission. 36. Small, solid, usually inflammatory elevation of the skin that does not contain pus. A pink pimple on the skin commonly caused by molluscum contagiosum virus. Papule. 37. Occurs during labor or vaginal delivery of a newborn. Perinatal transmission. 38. Consists of the nerves and ganglia outside the brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system. 39. A vascular organ that serves as the protective interface between the mother and developing fetus. The fetus is connected by the umbilical cord to this. It is involved in the exchange of nutrients and waste products and gas exchange between the blood supply, circulatory system of the mother and fetus through the blood vessels of the umbilical cord. Placenta. 40. Respiratory infection caused by viruses or other microbes that causes inflammation and congestion of one or both lungs. The air sacs may fill with fluid or pus, causing cough with phlegm or pus, followed by fever, chills, and difficulty in breathing. Pneumonia. 41. Occurs when a newborn is infected from mother to child through breast milk, e.g. risk of HIV infection if the mother is HIV positive, through transfused blood, by hands or instruments, or by respiratory route from infected persons after birth. Postnatal transmission. 42. The stage of a viral infection in which viruses are localized in the bloodstream. Primary viremia. 43. An infectious, self-replicating rogue protein that causes a group of fatal neurodegenerative brain diseases in humans and animals known as transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, TSEs. Prion. 44. These, such as macrophages and dendritic cells that are involved in antigen presentation through the receptors on their surface that detect antigens normally not found in the body, e.g. pathogens, transplanted, or foreign tissues. They engulf the foreign antigens and present them to other cells of the immune system. Professional phagocytes. 45. An antiviral compound that targets and blocks the activity of viral proteases, thus inhibiting the replication cycle of certain viruses, such as HIV and hepatitis C virus. Protease inhibitor. 46. A small elevation on the skin containing pus that can be caused by a viral infection caused by varicella zoster virus, cause of chickenpox and shingles. Pustule. 47. A change in the skin's appearance or texture, often produced after viruses have invaded the skin through blood vessels. Rash. 48. The spread of viruses into tissue via the bloodstream following a primary viremia occurs weeks or months after the initial infection. Secondary viremia. 49. A group of over 20 different types of infections that can be transmitted from person to person through sexual contact, exchange of body fluids, with an individual who is suffering from one of these. Sexually transmitted infections. 50. Infections that have long incubation periods, measured in years, usually caused by slow viruses such as HIV or prions. These types of infections lead to slow, progressive, life-threatening diseases. Slow infections. 51. An infection that disseminates to the deeper organs and affects systems of the entire body. An infection in the bloodstream is an example. systemic infection. 52. Severe congenital malformations, including deafness, blindness, and congenital heart and brain defects caused by a teratogenic effects. 53. The strength or concentration of a solution determined by serial dilutions. The term is applied to antibodies and viruses in virology and epidemiology. The concentration of antibodies in patient serum is determined by the most dilute concentration of antibodies that will yield a positive reaction with a specific antigen in a diagnostic assay. Titer. 54. Occurs when viruses cross the placenta, infecting the fetus. Cytomegaloviruses, Rubella and measles virus are examples of viral infections that may be transmitted by this during pregnancy. Transplacental transmission. 55. A fluid-filled skin lesion of up to 1 centimeter in size, i.e. a chickenpox, caused by certain viruses, including varicella zoster virus and variola virus, cause of smallpox. Vesicles. 56. Cells that line the placenta that lack typical major histocompatibility complex MHC class 1 and 2 molecules. Villus trophoblasts. 57. A small, usually benign skin growth, commonly caused by a papillomavirus. Wart. 58. Method used to detect proteins in a given sample of tissue, homogenate or extract. It uses electrophoresis to separate the proteins. Proteins are then transferred to nitrocellulose and probed with antibodies. This allows for the detection of a specific protein out of many thousands of different proteins. Used to be a method used to confirm HIV positive results, but it has been replaced by NAATs. Western blot.